Hello and welcome to the video for 6th grade for Thursday, April the 16th. This is going to cover one of the trickier things, in my opinion, um, because I never learned how to do this until I got into high school. So the fact that you guys are working on this in 6th grade is very impressive. So I'm going to do my very best to explain it using pictures and models and so forth and explanations and give you some extra resources if you need practice with this. So we are going to be working with relating 3D images to nets. So nets are kind of like visual representations breaking down the shape into different parts. So for instance, if I were to take this six-sided die, and I'm going to try to move it over. I keep forgetting that it's backwards, so I'm trying to get it to where it's kind of in the light and you can see it. If I were to take this, completely flatten it out and make it into a flat two-dimensional image, what that would look like. So the net is what that part would look like. So let's go ahead and take a look at our Unlock the Problem and see what we're going to be working with today. I am going to do this in several chunks. So there will be parts where there will be a break in the video where I stop so I can go ahead and draw things in and then I'll resume the video. That way I'm kind of building in a pause for you to try to draw the image yourself. So three-dimensional figures, we are going to have three dimensions. So length, width, and height. We are going to have our bases. So for the purpose of what we are working with for most of these, the base is going to be kind of the top or the bottom. The vertex is going to be the points where each base or edge ends up meeting. And then the lateral face is going to have its own special home that we'll talk about. So for this particular shape, if we thought of a kind of a pyramid looking shape, the lateral face would be the bottom portion of that, and the base and edge could kind of be the parts that are coming up. That's probably not the best way to explain it, but we'll kind of go with that for right now, and then I can kind of clarify as we do more of these. So for our first one, we are going to take our box and we are going to pretend that we are kind of chopping it up. So instead of a 3D image, we are going to open up all of the parts of that with scissors and kind of flatten it out. So one of the ways that we can do that is down here in step 2. I'm not going to ask you to draw a picture, nor am I going to provide another picture. But let's talk about what the different things are. So we are going to have two different bases. So our bases could be considered the front and back of the box. Are the bases congruent? So congruent means, are they equal, or are they similar enough to each other that if we put one on top of the other, they're going to take up the same amount of space? The answer, yes. What shape are the bases? Well, we have kind of a longer point if we look at this compared to this. So we are going to have a rectangle. And I'm just going to kind of abbreviate that just for the sake of time. So is the cereal box a prism? So a prism is a solid figure with two congruent and parallel bases. So we have two congruent bases. They're both going to be parallel to each other on opposite ends of the box. So yes. And again, the shape is going to be a rectangle. And I'm just going to abbreviate that. So what we are going to have is a rectangular prism because we meet the demands for being a rectangle and for being a prism. So I'm just going to abbreviate RP for that. The shapes that we would use if we were trying to draw out the picture, every single one of these, I'm going to try to move this just a little bit and zoom in. So every single one of these is a rectangle of different dimensions. So our bases are going to be the front and the back. Those are going to be the same size. The top and bottom of the box are going to be the same size. And if we go back to what we were relating with up here, that could be our lateral face. So our lateral face would be the top and bottom, and the edges would be the left and right side of the box. And those are also going to be congruent with each other and parallel with each other. So all three of these things are going to end up being rectangles. So let's come over to our example number 1. So we are going to have now a pyramid. So I'm going to give you a few moments to think about how the faces are going to work, what our figure is going to be, and to describe the base, if you can figure out which part the base is going to be. And then we'll kind of take a look at these two parts, and I will also go ahead and draw in the shape for that. So I am going to go ahead and pause right now so that you can go ahead and work on that. And then when you are ready, go ahead and unpause the video. All right, so welcome back from the break. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we had. So with a pyramid, and it is going to be, the base is going to be a triangle. So our base is going to be a triangle, and that actually should be this bottom part here. This is the part that's going to run underneath. And so somewhere in my apartment, I have a bag of dice, and I have a four-sided die that actually is a triangular pyramid, but I can't find it at the moment. If I find it for the homework part, I'll go ahead and bring those on camera. So our base is going to be a triangle. Our lateral faces, which would be the sides, are also going to be triangles, which gives us a triangular pyramid. We are going to have triangles. I abbreviated the word by just drawing the shape. And the net for this, if you have ever played any Legend of Zelda games, so for my boys in the class that have done stuff with video gaming, girls, sorry, you're probably not going to know this, but I know my two boys that play video games will. It looks similar to the Triforce from Legend of Zelda. So these three parts would be gold, and then this part's kind of open in the middle. So that is that particular portion. So let's look at example 2. So I've started to fill this out. We are going to try to figure out if this is going to be the same result as this. So at the moment, we only have two triangles. So what we are going to have is not going to be a pyramid. So think about what the reason for that might be. And I'll give you a moment to kind of think about that, and then I'm going to give you the answer. So think about what the triangles would have to be in relation to this shape for it to actually be a pyramid, okay? So now that you've had a moment to think about that, the triangle is going to have to be the base of this. So the base of this would be a pyramid, and that's going to dictate how many sides we have for the shape as well. So it would need to be the base for us to have a pyramid. And just pretend I'm drawing that down there. We're not going to do the bottom part of this with comparing the bases and lateral faces for right now. So let's go over to the share and show. So I will kind of attempt to draw in what it should be for the shape after I talk about the first part. So I'm going to do these, and I'm going to do another pause and let you try to draw what the net and the picture would be for that. That way I can do it off camera and save a little bit of time and give you a chance to practice it. So our base is going to be probably a square. We could say that that could be a square. And our lateral faces are going to be the sides. So think about what shape that could be. And so we'll talk about what the shape is, but it looks like it could be a pyramid of some kind. It just won't be a triangular pyramid. So we'll go ahead and talk about that in a moment as well. So think about this part before I go ahead and give you a pause to work on this. Think about how many sides we would have in our shape when we're done, because one of them is going to end up being the bottom, and then we are going to have the sides. So you could end up with something similar to this, but that our base is going to be a triangle. So kind of think about that as you work. I'm going to go ahead and put in another pause, and then when you're ready to continue, go ahead and hit play. All right, welcome back from break number 2. So I did make a slight mistake as far as one of the things I was saying on one of the things. So one of the advantages of pausing in the middle of the video for me is as I'm drawing, I can double check and make sure I'm actually telling things correctly. so I'm not confusing you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the part that I kind of misspoke. So this is going back to example 2. I was thinking, yes, it does have, the triangles have to be the base for a triangular pyramid, but we want to relate it to this shape. This shape is supposed to be a prism, so I shouldn't have drawn that down there. I kind of lost my train of thought when I was trying to explain that. So this is a triangular prism, and that's what we were saying. The triangles must be the base of this for the purposes of making that particular shape. So if we had made that shape, it would end up looking, shucks. Where this part here is going to be kind of the side of each of them, and then the prism continues across. So pretend that we're standing these two ends up and we're folding everything together. That would give us our prism shape. It would kind of look very similar to this. So kind of think about that in a few moments, except there's going to be one possible little difference when we get to number 5. We're looking for something that looks like this when we draw the net, and the net would, if we were to bring it together, look somewhat similar to this. So let's go back over here. So number 1 for Sharon's show, if I were to draw this out, we would have our square in the middle and then 4 equal length triangles coming out. That would give us our square pyramid. That was the part where I realized, oh wait, I probably should have said that slightly differently back on the other page. So we have a square for the base, triangle for all 4 lateral faces. That gives us a square pyramid. This one, if we go ahead and put it together, we have a triangular pyramid, and the way that we try to draw it is using dashes. So this would be an example for a cube to show the part that we can't see. It's very difficult for me to do that on a computer using a mouse, but pretend that that was what we did. And then again, for the net for this one, for number 5, if you want to go ahead and pause, I'm just going to go ahead and refer you back to this. So we can try to draw something that's similar to that. It looks like that the base part for this would be a little bit closer to the sides of the shape in this one compared to probably what we would have had if we had tried to draw this one out. But that's just my opinion. So again, we could have our 2 triangles that look like this, have our rectangle for this, and then we have 2 more rectangles that come off the end. And I'm going to kind of make it look like the way that they did the first one. So I'm going to get something like this, but pretend that I actually drew it neatly. So those are the things that we were working with for today. I hope this helps you understand. I tried to keep it as short as possible and give you some breaks that you can work naturally, as well as make the video not take 30 minutes while I try to draw it. So again, I hope this makes sense for you. This is something that you guys are learning much earlier than I learned many, many years ago when I was growing up. So it's kind of cool to see that they know that you're capable of doing this. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. As you all know, I am very bad at drawing under the best of times, so doing it on the computer makes it even more challenging for me. But I'll be happy to work with you and explain and give you examples if that will help you with your understanding of this. We are going to use this in our next lesson as well. So if you have questions, now's a perfect time to ask those before we get even deeper, farther down the rabbit hole with this particular topic. So I hope you have a great day. I was sad that none of you were able to be on the conference call today, but do know you guys are always welcome to pop in and say hi. Feel free to message me. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know how the math work's going. If there's any challenges for you, I'm here for you, happy to help. So have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow.